Hello everyone, this is Crypto BitLaw, here with another blockchain legal brief, and today we're going to discuss dark web and cryptocurrency related search warrants. But before we dive in, please, if you enjoy this content, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And with that said, let's jump right on in. Alright, so as we can see here, Darknet Live came out with this article entitled Law Enforcement Officer's Bulletin, What to Look For During a Search Warrant. They say, a bulletin published by the Nevada High-Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, or HIDTA, describes what officers look for during a search warrant involving dark web and cryptocurrency-related crime. The purpose of the bulletin is to provide law enforcement officers with key indicators of dark web activity while executing search warrants. This includes information to assist law enforcement in positively identifying cryptocurrency devices, electronic applications, and recovery seeds, which is critical for seizing digital assets. In 2020, the Nevada HIDTA reported increased criminal activity involving the dark web and cryptocurrency. An out-of-state digital forensics group had to be present during the execution of search warrants. Before executing the warrants, law enforcement officers had to be briefed on cryptocurrency devices, recovery seeds, and any electronics that could be examined for evidentiary value. However, the bulletin explained many of the law enforcement officers were not familiar with the information and terminology introduced during the brief. As a result, the Nevada HIDTA published the bulletin titled Dark Web and Cryptocurrency, What to Look For During a Search Warrant. The bulletin contains surprisingly basic information. Boring. Hardware wallets. Hardware wallets are commonly used by cryptocurrency investors and dark web criminals and are considered the best method to store cryptocurrencies. Well, that's a no-brainer. A hardware wallet is a cryptocurrency wallet that stores the user's private keys in a secure hardware device. The main principle behind a hardware wallet is to provide full isolation between the private keys and the user's computer. Private keys are codes only the user has access to and are used to access the user's crypto assets. Private keys are what give the user ownership of their cryptocurrency. Hardware wallets have an associated web, mobile, and desktop application that enables you to monitor your cryptocurrency addresses and spend your cryptocurrency. And so here we could see an excerpt from the report going over what a seed phrase is, and it shows a picture of a Trezor and a Ledger hardware wallet. Recovery seeds and phrases. A crypto wallet will randomly generate a seed phrase or recovery phrase in an ordered set of 12 or 24 words, sometimes more, depending on the type of wallet used. The crypto wallet also uses the seed phrase to create private keys. The seed phrase is not linked to a particular cryptocurrency and can be used to access an entire portfolio of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and other crypto assets. A seed phrase is the only way to access and recover a wallet and all of its contents if a device linked to the wallet is wiped, lost, or stolen. If possible, recovering wallets and seizing cryptocurrency in an expeditious manner is highly recommended and should be treated with a sense of urgency. Anyone who maintains a copy of the recovery seed or has access to the recovery seed can recreate the wallet without geographical limitations and could easily withdraw the funds. And so here's another excerpt from the report with examples of seed phrases. So we could see one with a Trezor and the seed phrases written down in the recovery note, and then also some seed phrases embedded into metal. Software wallets. Software wallets come in many forms, each with its own set of unique characteristics and are somehow connected to the internet. Wallets are distinguished by a set of supported cryptocurrencies and software platforms such as Windows, Mac, and other operating systems. Software wallets are available in three forms: desktop, mobile, and online. Desktop wallets are computer programs that store cryptocurrencies on a PC so that their information is not accessible to anyone but the user. Private keys are typically kept on a desktop. Mobile wallets come in a smartphone app and are easily accessible to their users at any time. However, mobile devices are vulnerable to various malware and can be easily lost. Online wallets are web-based wallets that can be accessed anywhere and on any device. This makes them more convenient for accessing funds, and their private keys are stored by website owners rather than locally on users' devices. Examples of wallets and exchanges. So they list cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Monero, Litecoin, Ethereum, Pax, Dogecoin, Algory. Really? I guess they thought Algory, that's their version of Algorand. which is funny. Really? And Tether. Software wallets. They give examples of Electrum, Exodus, Koinami, Monero, GUI, Cake, BRD, Blockchain, and Mycelium. And exchange wallets. Coinbase, Kraken, Crypto.com, Binance, and Bitstamp. The Nevada HIDTA provided examples of the most common cryptocurrencies, wallets, and exchanges encountered during their investigations. And then they give examples of Darknet usage. And then the browsers to access the Darknet are Tor and Red Onion Tor. And then examples of VPNs. Nord, Proton VPN, TunnelBear, and Surfshark. VPNs as evidence of Darknet usage. That's another really moment. Examples of Darknet market links. And so then they give examples of .onion links where instead of a traditional, human readable domain name like google.com or something like that, it's just a string of letters and numbers with a .onion postfix. So those are some examples of Darknet market links that they were given. Pretty good privacy encryption, or PGP encryption tools. Pretty good privacy, or PGP, is an encryption system used for both sending and receiving encrypted emails and encrypting sensitive files. PGP encryption is required on most popular darknet markets, such as White House Market. Oh, that's a new one. Haven't heard of that one. White House Market. If messages are not encrypted using PGP encryption, darknet markets will not allow users to send and receive messages or purchase illicit commodities. And then here's an example of a public key used by the Nevada HIDTA during an investigation in August of 2021. It has not been OCR'd, which is optical character recognition. Now, I guess an example of that is if you look at a PDF and you can highlight and select the text, the fact that that text was OCR'd, as they say, allows you to actually translate it and highlight it and receive those ASCII characters instead of just looking at a JPEG and not having access to the ASCII text. During the investigation into a prolific Xanax vendor on Alpha Bay, law enforcement officers raided the defendant's house and found loads of incriminating evidence. They seized multiple cryptocurrency wallets, including a Trezor cold storage wallet containing almost 200 Bitcoin. Investigators could not find the seed phrase for at least one of the wallets they had discovered. The case began with an unrelated arrest of one of the defendant's friends in a different state. Investigators also used the defendant's, at the time, girlfriend's drug habit to get a foot in the door for probable cause. I can remember that the DEA had at least 4 of the defendant's acquaintances making statements. It seems likely that the actual number of loose lips is higher than 4. After some time, investigators learned that the defendant had given the seed phrase to a friend. The friend had allegedly promised to keep the seed phrase no matter the cost. Law enforcement officers detained the person who had the seed phrase and threatened him with prison time. The friend gave up the seed phrase. No surprise there. Oh, Lord. In the Bulletin, the Nevada HIDTA wrote, quote, "Anyone who maintains a copy of the recovery seed or has access to the recovery seed can recreate the wallet without geographical limitations and could easily withdraw the funds. As the case described above demonstrates, even if someone were to leave someone else with the only copy of the seed phrase, law enforcement will somehow sniff it out. If any readers know of a case where someone moved the funds out of a wallet seized by law enforcement, please let me know. I would love to read about their frantic attempts to recover the, quote, stolen funds." Dark web and cryptocurrency. What to look for during a drug search warrant. And here's a copy of the PDF, HTML, and HTML versions that are going to be linked down in the description below. And here's a copy. Whenever it's a picture, it says whatever vendor sold listing 70209 for 7 grams of cocaine, uncut brick, and sends the following message to their customers is under investigation and selling to the feds. So there's a picture of Heisenberg, right? So it's a decrypted message from the White House Market, Nevada HIDTA investigation in 2021. So, I mean, this is just kind of like a general overview of what law enforcement they're looking for when it comes to executing these types of warrants for illicit or nefarious activities, criminal activity that involves drugs, the darknet market, and more likely than not, cryptocurrencies. I mean, it's a no-brainer that they're going over things, such basic things like hardware wallets, recovery seed phrases, PGP encryption, and VPNs. VPNs typically used to obfuscate or mask an origin IP address and create another layer of separation between the end user and the means with which to access the dark web, which is typically Tor. It'll go from end user, VPN, VPN, Tor, dark web. And then from there, that's where they plug in their seed phrases and access their online wallets and pretty much use that as the gateway to engage in all of this nefarious activity. Now, I think that this is going to become a larger trend across the country with the rise of cryptos and the prominence of darknet markets becoming more and more prevalent and getting more traction. I think it's only natural that different various local agencies and the feds are going to need to become versed in all of the different tools of the trade and the terminology, jargon, and hardware and software devices that are used as part of this amalgamation that is the dark web in conjunction with crypto, right? And so I don't think that this trend is slowing down anytime soon. I think that some of the examples and these anecdotes shown in this report, they emphasize the importance of good OPSEC or operational security, particular as it pertains to seed phrases. I know a lot of people, they will embed their seed phrases into metal. That's one of the common techniques that I've even done in the past. But that in itself, as we've seen before, it's not really that good enough if someone who knows what they're doing and they know what to look for, whether it's law enforcement or some other nefarious actor, a robber, something like that, they break into your place and then they go to the safe, they get into the safe, and then it's, okay, hey, we have these seed phrases, we know what these are, let's get the crypto, take the money, and run. Now, I've been in some Twitter groups where people have proposed some, pretty ingenious methods of trying to safeguard their seed phrases, right? And so you'll recall with something like a ledger or a Trezor, you'll have the seed phrase that is used to recover a wallet that's been wiped or to initialize a blank hardware wallet. And so that's the 12 or the 24 words that you use. And then once you set it up, you set a PIN code into the device, anywhere from 4 to 8, maybe sometimes more depending on the device, numbers in sequence that actually allow you to access the device without having to re-enter the seed recovery phrase. And so if you can memorize the PIN code, you wouldn't need access to the seed phrase unless you try to recover the device if it was damaged, lost, or stolen. But the problem is it's too difficult for most people to want to memorize that seed phrase. The best method that I've seen before, I've recalled an instance where there was this story about a criminal who ran a darknet marketplace on Alpha Bay, and he used a mnemonic device, that's like a series of, letters in sequence that help you to remember what your C words were. And so I'll try to give you an example of a mnemonic. Kings play chess on fancy gold sets, and it has to deal with the order of how species are classified, under Darwin. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Recalling that the first letter of each of those phrases, kings play chess on fancy gold sets, is the first letter of each of the different classification subcategories in that Darwinian classification, right? And so a similar type of mnemonic device can be used to recall your seed phrases. I remember when I was studying for the bar exam, I mean, just the sheer breadth and depth of information that you had to memorize was just so out of this world that you couldn't help try to commit it to memory without the use of some sort of mnemonic device, right? And it's always traditionally been, the basis of oral tradition, whether it be through indigenous peoples or in, various different other cultures around the world. They use this oral tradition, whether, putting it to song and a rhythm or mnemonic devices. Shakespeare used iambic pentameter to try to keep a rhythm and a rhyming to help the actual orator remember how to recite these different words and phrases and colloquialisms verbatim, word for word. And I guess getting back on track to that Twitter, well, I sidestepped a couple times. If you would like to recall that story about the Alpha Bay drug user or drug dealer, it's this podcast called Darknet Diaries by Jack Reciter. It's a really good podcast. Check it out. And it's the story about, I don't know which episode it was, but you could just search through his past episodes, and it's about the Alpha Bay drug dealer. He interviewed this guy, and the story was fascinating. So you could check that out. But also, just some pro tips from these Twitter spaces that I've been in, with regards to people in their OPSEC. Some of these people, what they would do is they would embed the seed phrases into metal plates, wrap that in plastic, and then they would construct a box out of wood, submerge the bagged metal seed phrases into the box, and then fill that with liquid concrete, create a metal or a concrete block, and then bury the concrete block in their backyard. And so that was a pretty ingenious way to do it. I mean, alternatively, if you're really concerned, you could just memorize your seed phrases, and that would be another way to do it too. And so, all in all, I think that this is really interesting that law enforcement is starting to take this so seriously. 10 years ago, back when crypto and the dark web was kind of in its infancy, I never would have thought there would have been an executive order on crypto and law enforcement bulletins on how to handle crypto and darknet access. But here we are. The times are changing, and this is the world we're living in. And so, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Please, if you did, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. And with that said, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.